All right, strap in, everyone. We're going deep into the mind of David Goggins today.
Oh, yeah. If you want to unlock your brain power, he's the guy.
No kidding. This deep dive, we're breaking down one of his motivational videos.
I've got to say, I'm excited for this one.
Me too. And let me tell you, he does not hold back.
Not one bit.
Goggins, he comes right out and says, your brain, it's the ultimate weapon.
Yeah, especially when everything else is falling apart around you.
Exactly. When, life hits you hard. He actually says, and I'm quoting directly here, your brain is the only thing you have when you're going through depression, hard times, death, real life.
Yeah.
You can't Google that, man.
Wow.
It's a powerful statement.
Yeah, it makes you think about how when everything else crumbles, it all comes down to you.
To your mindset.
To your mindset, exactly.
And Goggins, he knows those challenges firsthand. I was really surprised to learn that he had to overcome learning difficulties.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, he talks about struggling with reading comprehension. And he had to write things out multiple times just to understand them.
That takes serious dedication.
It really does. Most people would have given up, but he found a way to push through.
And I think we can actually connect this experience to the science of neuroplasticity.
Oh, how so?
So the brain, right, it's constantly rewiring itself based on our experiences.
Right, yeah.
And by engaging with that material over and over, Goggins basically forced his brain to adapt and create new pathways for learning.
So he, hacked his own brain.
In a way, yeah. And it shows that what we see as limitations might actually be opportunities for growth.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so then there's this idea of creating a new normal, which Goggins talks about a lot.
Oh, yeah, this is a big one.
He says you have to kind of immerse yourself in discomfort.
Until it becomes your new BIC line.
Exactly. He uses his experience in Navy SEAL training as an example.
Oh, right. Where he endured 18 months of just grueling challenges.
Yeah, 18 months.
3 times longer than the standard program.
I can't even imagine.
It's mind-blowing. But the point is, he chose that environment, that pressure cooker. And it changed his whole perception of what's possible.
It's like, think about if you suddenly had to live in a place that cost you only $7 a month.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It would be a huge adjustment.
A total shock.
But Goggins actually did it.
Yeah, he did.
And he says it totally changed his view of hardship.
Like it reset his definition of tough.
It makes you think, our environment really shapes what we think we can handle.
Oh, absolutely. We have the power to reset that baseline.
Wow, that's incredible. It's not just about physical discomfort, though, right?
Yeah.
Goggins also talks about finding strength in brokenness.
Yeah, that's a powerful concept.
He talks about duct taping his broken feet before training.
Right, at 3:30 in the morning. It's such a striking image.
It really is. He didn't let the injury stop him.
He owned it. He accepted it.
And even harnessed that energy.
Yeah, he says, and I love this quote, I became the devil, the owner, the CEO of Navy SEAL training. That was my mindset.
It's like instead of being crushed, he took control.
He turned that brokenness into power.
This makes me wonder how often we give up on things just because they feel hard.
I think about that a lot, too. Like, have we even scratched the surface of what we're capable of?
That's exactly what Goggins says. He believes most people have no idea how much they can achieve.
Because they haven't pushed themselves far enough?
And he uses himself as an example, right? He's 297 pounds.
Yeah, feeling like he was at his limit.
And then he goes on to achieve incredible things.
It really makes you wonder, what could we do if we redefined what trying hard really means?
That's a powerful question. And Goggins doesn't shy away from the tough stuff either.
He really doesn't.
He actually embraces it, especially when it comes to, suffering.
Yeah, he sees it as a path, to self-discovery.
And to peace, ultimately.
He has this quote, I found peace on the opposite end of finding myself.
So peace doesn't come from avoiding challenges.
In his view, no. It comes from confronting them head on.
Whoa, that's pretty deep. It's making me think about all the times I've avoided discomfort in my own life.
We all do it, right? But maybe there's something to be said for leaning into it.
Goggins definitely thinks so. He thinks that's how we unlock our strength and resilience.
I think he's onto something there. So we've talked about the power of the mind, the new normal, finding strength in brokenness, even embracing suffering.
That's a lot to take in.
It is.
Yeah.
But it all points to this idea that we have so much more potential than we realize.
Right. And Goggins has a really unique way of helping us tap into that.
He really does. But I think there's one thing we haven't talked about yet that's really crucial to his whole philosophy.
What's that?
It's accountability. Goggins believes it's essential for growth.
Accountability, like having someone to answer to.
Yes, but it's even deeper than that. It's about holding yourself to a higher standard, even when it's tough.
Even when it's miserable, he said.
Exactly. He says, when you find your true passion in life, you want to be someone that you're proud of.
So it's about that internal drive, that voice that pushes you to be better.
Even when no one else is watching. And for Goggins, that drive was connected to his lack of self-love.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he talks about how he didn't love himself and he sought validation from others to fill that void.
That's really honest of him.
It is, and it's probably something a lot of us can relate to.
Yeah, for sure.
But Goggins' story suggests that maybe pushing ourselves, overcoming challenges, can actually help us love ourselves more.
Like a cycle. You push yourself, face hardship, hold yourself accountable, and through that, you understand and accept yourself more.
Exactly. It's not about punishing yourself. It's about embracing growth and realizing that every step, even the hard ones, brings us closer to our full potential.
This is heavy stuff, but it's really making me think. Goggins, he's definitely got a different perspective.
He does, and he's not afraid to challenge our assumptions about, well, everything.
Yeah, but it's a good challenge. It's making me question things in a good way.
I think that's the point, right? To make us think differently about what's possible.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've covered a lot, but we're just scratching the surface here.
Yeah, Goggins' philosophy is deep. There's so much more to explore.
And that's what we're going to do. But first, let's take a quick break, digest all this, and then we'll come back ready to dive even deeper.
Sounds good.
All right, we're back. And my mind is still spinning from all that Goggins wisdom.
I know, right? It's a lot to unpack.
Before the break, we were talking about peace and how Goggins believes it comes from facing challenges, not running from them.
Yeah, it's not your typical self-help advice.
Definitely not, but it's definitely thought-provoking. So let's dig a little deeper into that.
Okay, so Goggins is very direct about this. He says most people are living a lie because they never really push themselves.
They don't discover their true potential.
Right. They settle for comfort. They're afraid of the discomfort that comes with growth.
So it's not that we can't achieve great things, it's that we're often too scared to even try.
Exactly. Goggins talks about his younger self as a scared kid, someone terrified of failure.
But he realized the only way to conquer that fear was to face it.
To push himself beyond his limits, yeah.
So he used that fear as fuel.
Yeah, he turned it into motivation. And get this, he connects this to our biology, to the sympathetic nervous system.
The fight or flight response.
Exactly. He says instead of running from that feeling, we should lean into it.
So use that adrenaline to our advantage.
Exactly. It's like reframing how we see discomfort. It can actually be a catalyst for growth.
Okay, so how did Goggins actually apply this in his own life?
Remember that image we talked about, him duct taping his broken feet at 3:30 a.m.?
Oh, yeah, before that grueling training.
Most people would have quit, but Goggins, he used that pain as fuel.
He said something like, if you see yourself broken, but still fighting, it gives you power.
Yeah, he tapped into that primal energy, turned it into determination.
So the injury didn't defeat him, it motivated him.
He flipped the script, turned a weakness into strength. And he goes even further, talking about accessing the mineral soil.
Mineral soil, what's that?
It's a metaphor. It represents a place deep inside us that's unshakable.
Like a core of strength.
Yeah, a place where our true strength lies. And he says finding our purpose helps us tap into it.
Our true passion, as he calls it.
He says, when you find your true passion in life, you want to be someone that you're proud of.
Okay, I like that. So finding that thing that lights us up helps us overcome challenges.
Yes. The discomfort, the setbacks, they become part of the journey.
And we learn from them. We grow from them.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, what if we all stopped letting discomfort control our choices?
What could we achieve? I know I've given up on things because they felt too hard.
I think we all have. Goggins challenges us to ask, what if we had pushed through?
What if we saw those challenges as stepping stones, not roadblocks? It's a whole new way of thinking about success.
It is. Goggins is saying true growth often comes from choosing the harder path, the one that forces us to confront our limitations.
She's not saying we should seek out suffering, right?
Yeah. No, but he acknowledges it's a part of growth. And by finding meaning in it, we unlock strength we didn't know we had.
So he's flipped the script on how we see hardship.
Absolutely. It's an opportunity, a chance to become something greater. And he brings it back to accountability, too.
Accountability, how does that fit in?
Well, Goggins believes accountability is essential for growth because it forces us to face our weaknesses.
Take ownership of our choices.
Yeah. He talks about setting high standards and sticking to them even when it's tough.
So not just having someone else push you, but having that inner drive as well.
Exactly. That voice that says you can do more even when you want to quit. And for Goggins, that was connected to his struggle with self-love.
He's so open about that part of his journey.
He is. He says he didn't love himself and looked for validation from others.
Wow. So by pushing himself, by achieving things, he started to develop self-worth.
Yes, it's like a cycle. You push, you face hardship, you hold yourself accountable, and you learn to love yourself more.
It's not about being perfect. It's about that journey of growth.
That's it. And every step, even the difficult ones, brings you closer to your potential. It's a really relatable struggle, I think.
I think so too. A lot of us have felt inadequate, sought validation from outside.
And Goggins' story shows us that pushing ourselves, proving we can do hard things, can actually lead to more self-love.
So it's not about external success, but internal transformation.
Right. And it's interesting, this idea of self-love through struggle isn't new. Ancient philosophers like the Stoics talked about this.
They believed facing adversity with courage led to virtue and happiness.
Exactly. So it's not a fad, it's timeless wisdom, just repackaged by Goggins.
This is really making me rethink how I approach challenges. Maybe I need to see them as opportunities, not setbacks.
That's the heart of Goggins' message. He's not saying to enjoy pain, but to reframe it as a catalyst for transformation.
This is so insightful. But how do we apply this to our everyday lives? We're not all going to be Navy SEALs.
True, but the principles are universal. Find areas where you're holding back, where you're choosing comfort over growth.
So create our own new normal, even if it's not as extreme as Goggins.
Yes, it's about those small, everyday choices. Waking up earlier to work on a project, having that tough conversation.
Choosing the salad over the pizza, so to speak.
Exactly. Small steps that expand our capacity for discomfort.
Okay, but how do we stay motivated when things get tough?
That's where accountability comes back in. Set goals, track your progress, find an accountability partner.
Create a system that works for you.
Exactly. And remember, it's a process. There will be setbacks.
But the key is to keep moving forward.
Never give up on yourself.
This is all so helpful. But before we move on, I want to touch on something else. Goggins' views on finding peace.
That's a big one, and it ties into everything we've talked about.
He's very clear that he doesn't believe you find peace first and then tackle challenges.
He says you don't find peace first. It comes from the struggle, from overcoming obstacles.
So true peace isn't a prerequisite for growth. It's a result of it.
Exactly. It's the reward, not the starting point. You earn it by pushing your limits, facing your fears.
This is really challenging what I thought I knew about personal growth. I thought inner peace came first.
Goggins offers a different perspective. Peace comes from confronting those uncomfortable truths about ourselves, from pushing through the resistance.
It's not about avoiding discomfort. It's about leaning into it.
Yes. And it's interesting, even psychology backs this up. People who challenge themselves regularly tend to be happier.
So it's not just about external success. It's about that internal shift, that resilience.
Exactly. And Goggins embodies this. He found peace by pushing himself further than he thought possible.
It's inspiring, but also a bit daunting. Where do we even begin?
Start by becoming aware of when you choose comfort over growth. Notice the excuses, the fear-based decision.
Pay attention to our self-talk.
Yes. Then challenge those thoughts. Ask yourself, is this true or am I just scared?
And then take action, even a small step.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be a huge leap. The important thing is to start moving in the direction of growth.
This is great advice. But Goggins' approach is intense. It's not for everyone, right?
You're right. His methods are extreme. They require a certain level of mental toughness.
So what about those who are intrigued, but not ready for that level of intensity?
Start small. Find one area where you're holding back and ask yourself, what's one small step I can take today?
It could be anything, right? Their career, relationships, health, anything.
Anything. The point is to push beyond that comfort zone, even just a little.
Okay, that seems manageable, but how do they stay motivated, especially when it gets hard?
Accountability is key. Find a partner, track your progress, set up a reward system, whatever works for you.
So find what keeps you on track and committed to your goals.
Exactly. And remember, this is a journey, not a race. There will be setbacks, but the key is to keep moving forward.
Never give up on yourself.
That's it. And remember, peace, self-love, fulfillment, those aren't destinations, they're journeys.
Embrace the struggle, learn from it, keep growing.
That's the Goggins way.
All right, so we've talked a lot about pushing our limits, embracing discomfort. But what about Goggins' views on self-love? How does that fit in?
Ah, that's a crucial piece. Goggins believes true self-love comes from pushing ourselves, proving we're capable of more than we thought.
So it's not about external validation, it's about that internal shift.
Exactly. And it's fascinating, this idea that we find self-love through struggle. It's not new.
It's not just a Goggins thing.
Right. The Stoics, ancient philosophers, they believed virtue and happiness came from facing adversity with courage.
Wow, so it's like a timeless concept.
Exactly. And that's what makes Goggins' message so powerful. It's rooted in something much bigger than him.
This is giving me a lot to think about. Maybe I need to stop seeing challenges as setbacks and start seeing them as opportunities.
That's the essence of what Goggins is saying. He wants us to reframe discomfort as a catalyst for transformation.
Okay, so realistically, we're not all going to be running ultramarathons like Goggins.
Of course not. But we can all apply these principles in our own lives.
Right. So how do we take these big kind of abstract ideas and actually put them into practice?
I think the best way is to start small. Think about one area where you're holding back and ask, what's one tiny step I can take today?
It's all about those small, consistent actions.
Exactly. It could be making that phone call you've been dreading, or signing up for a class that scares you.
So doing something that makes you a little uncomfortable.
Yes. And, you'll probably face resistance. You'll want to quit.
So how do we keep going when it gets tough?
Remember accountability. That's crucial. Find ways to hold yourself to those small steps, even when no one else is watching.
Set goals. Track your progress. Get a support system.
Whatever works for you. But remember, this is a journey. There will be setbacks.
But we keep moving forward, learning from those experiences.
Never give up on yourself.
All right, so to wrap things up, we've covered a lot about pushing limits, embracing discomfort.
But there's one more thing I think we should touch on. Goggins' views on finding peace.
He doesn't believe you find peace first and then tackle challenges, right?
Exactly. He believes peace comes from the struggle, from confronting those difficult truths about ourselves.
So it's not about achieving some kind of Zen state before you can work on yourself.
Nope. Goggins would say the real work starts when you're feeling the discomfort, the resistance.
Peace is the reward, not the starting point.
Exactly. You earn it by pushing beyond your limits, facing your fears.
This is so different from what I used to think. I thought inner peace came first.
A lot of people do. But Goggins challenges that. He believes you cultivate peace by embracing the struggle.
So it's not about avoiding discomfort. It's about leaning into it.
Yes. And it's amazing. Research shows that people who challenge themselves regularly actually tend to be happier.
So it's not just about external success. It's about that inner strength, that resilience.
Exactly. And that's one of the most powerful messages from Goggins. It's not about reaching some perfect state. It's about the journey.
This is all really inspiring. But it can also be a bit overwhelming, Where do we even start?
I think the key is to be kind to yourself, to celebrate the small wins, to learn from the setbacks.
And to never give up.
That's the Goggins spirit. He wants us to embrace the messiness of growth, to keep pushing forward, even when it's hard.
This has been a really eye-opening conversation. Goggins' philosophy is so much more than just tough love. There's real depth and wisdom there.
I agree. It's about challenging ourselves, but also about self-compassion and accepting that growth takes time.
And finding peace, not by avoiding challenges, but by facing them head-on.
Exactly. And that's a message we could all benefit from hearing.
All right, well, I think we've covered just about everything we can about Goggins' philosophy.
We've certainly touched on the key points.
I hope our listeners feeling inspired and ready to take some action.
I hope so too. But I think it's important to remember that not everyone will resonate with Goggins' approach.
It's not for everyone, right? It's pretty intense.
Exactly. It takes a certain personality type to embrace that level of discomfort.
So what about those who are curious but maybe a little intimidated? What's a good starting point for them?
I think the best advice is to start small. Pick one area of your life where you're holding back and ask yourself, what's one tiny thing I can do today to push myself?
It doesn't have to be anything drastic.
Nope. Just a small step in the right direction.
Okay, I like that. But even small steps can feel scary sometimes. How do we stay motivated when we want to quit?
Remember accountability. Find what works for you, whether it's a partner, a tracking system, or something else.
So, create a system that helps you stay committed to your goals, even when it's tough.
Exactly. And remember, it's a journey, not a destination. There will be ups and downs.
But the important thing is to keep learning, keep growing, and never give up on yourself.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into the mind of David Goggins.
It's been an intense but rewarding journey.
It really has. We've covered so much.
Uh-huh.
The power of the mind, the importance of self-love, the transformative nature of discomfort.
And most importantly, how we can apply all of this to our own lives.
Goggins' philosophy is challenging, no doubt, but it's also incredibly empowering.
It reminds us that we have so much more potential than we realize.
And that we have the power to create the life we want, even if it means embracing the struggle.
So if you're ready to step outside your comfort zone and unlock your true potential, remember Goggins' words.
Embrace the discomfort, challenge your limits, and never, ever give up on yourself.
And maybe, just maybe, you'll find that peace you've been searching for.
That's it for this episode of The Deep Dive. We hope you found it insightful and inspiring.
And until next time, keep pushing those limits.
Okay, wow. We've covered a lot of ground here with Goggins.
We have. His philosophy, it's a lot to process, you know?
Yeah.
Tough love, but also like really deep self-reflection.
It's not your typical feel-good motivation.
Definitely not. But there's something so refreshing about his honesty, his belief in what we can all achieve.
I think it's because he's lived it. He's not just talking about this stuff, he's been through it.
Exactly. He embodies his own message.
And he's clear that these principles, they apply to everyone, no matter who you are or where you come from.
Yeah, he emphasizes that he wasn't born with this superhuman ability to handle suffering.
He had to work at it.
He developed that mental toughness, that grit, through tons of effort and self-discipline.
So it's not some special talent, it's a choice.
It's a mindset. It's about the choices we make daily.
That's pretty empowering. It means we can change our own stories.
Exactly. We have more control than we realize. So, for our listener, they're fired up, inspired by Goggins, but maybe feeling overwhelmed.
It's a lot to take in. What's one concrete thing they can do today to start applying this?
Honestly, start paying attention to how you talk to yourself.
Yep.
Notice those times you make excuses, you say, I can't. You let fear win.
Those limiting beliefs we were talking about.
Yeah. Become aware of them. Then ask yourself, is this really true? Or am I just scared?
Okay, so once they identify those beliefs, what then? Do they jump into the hardest thing they can think of?
No, not right away. Remember, Goggins is all about those small steps, building up over time.
So start small, something achievable.
Yeah, maybe instead of the ultra marathon, it's committing to a 30-minute walk each day.
Or finally having that tough conversation they've been putting off.
Exactly. Anything that pushes them just a little bit outside that comfort zone.
So it's about leaning into that discomfort, knowing it's a part of growth.
Precisely. And as they take those actions, they'll start to feel more confident, more capable.
It's like building mental muscle, right?
That's it. The more you challenge yourself, the stronger you get. And then you can take on bigger challenges.
This is great. But I know motivation can fade. How do we stay committed, especially when things get hard?
Accountability, remember. Goggins is big on that. It keeps us honest with ourselves.
So find ways to hold ourselves accountable even when no one's watching.
Exactly. Set goals, track progress, maybe find an accountability buddy.
Whatever keeps you on track.
Exactly. This is a process, not a quick fix. There will be tough times.
But you keep learning, you keep growing, you never give up.
That's the key right there.
Okay, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into the mind of David Goggins.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. We've talked about the power of the mind, the importance of self-love, embracing discomfort. So much.
And how we can actually use these ideas in our own lives.
Goggins' philosophy, it can be intense, but it's also so empowering.
It reminds us we have so much more potential than we often believe.
And that we can create the life we want, even if it means going through tough times.
So if you're ready to push your limits, remember Goggins' words. Embrace the discomfort, challenge yourself, and never give up.
And who knows, maybe you'll find that peace and fulfillment you've been looking for.
You just might.
That's all for this episode of The Deep Dive. We hope you found it helpful and inspiring.
And until next time, keep pushing those limits.